And good evening, everyone. Welcome to the Change of Shift podcast. I am your host, Sean, with my amazing co-host, Emily.
Hello, hello.
Em, how are you?
Doing lovely. How are you?
I'm well. We have a special guest this evening. We'll introduce her shortly. Em, how was your day?
My day was fabulous.
That's it? Just fabulous?
It was fabulous. Actually, my evening was better.
So let me ask you a question. No, I did not. No, but I'm pretty sure somebody got a new toy.
Oh. La 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 la. Got my new iPhone. Yeah.
Somebody got a new iPhone.
I did. I got it a couple days ago. It took me hours to update everything, but I think I finally have it all up and working now. And I got to tell you, I love the bigger screen.
Nice.
I didn't know if I would.
Oh yeah, that's right. You didn't have the 6 or you had a 5.
I had a 5S and bumped up to the 6.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
I
think
6S
I have this
Plus, man, with the big memory.
Nice.
The 120 plus.
All right.
Look at that.
So,
I'm getting.
Yeah. Well, the geek squad out there is going to definitely give you props.
Oh, so. It's even rose gold.
Oh my.
Oh. Yeah. Lovely.
All right. So like every show, how about you do the recap? We'll talk about the last episode you and I did because I threw a wrench in the system and changing things up a bit. I think we have a bit of a overzealous fan. You just got 202.
Yes. It's all about the iPhone, man.
That's
it's all
crazy.
About the
So I'm sorry, I digress. Let's talk about the last episode you and I did.
Oh, geez. We have done, how many are we up to now? So this is number 7.
Yeah. So you and I have done 6 together.
Yes, we have. So I'm losing my notes, Sean. Where am I at?
Oh, well then I guess
there it is. All right. No, we've talked about the hashtag Nurses Unite and how we want to utilize that to push our profession forward. We've talked about some of the things that are kind of personal to us, and some of the things that are also very important to healthcare and nursing, things like vaccination, suicide prevention, lateral bullying, those types of things. One of the big things, other than kind of the direction we're hoping to take the Change of Shift into, is we talked about your hashtag AskTheNP, and I'm going to let you recap that piece.
So the 2-minute spiel is that we're going to start utilizing that hashtag as an advice column. Started out as a hashtag to express or to share advice, nursing tips, tricks, things of that nature. But the hashtag is going to be something that we utilize not only to produce content, but also to draw in content. So what I mean by that is that nurses out there that are interested in asking a question about something that's challenging in their professional or personal career, they can go ahead and actually type in the hashtag AskTheNP, AskTheNP, and we will try to respond. Ironically, I did a podcast last night on my own because my co-host was unavailable, and I answered one of those questions. Won't go into that. It was simply a way of experimenting with the advice column. So, and how did we round out the last episode you and I did?
Oh, we had a high school student that I am friends with her parents, needed to do a high school project on a profession of some sort. So we kind of bumped it up a couple notches, and she sent us a list of questions about our profession. So we went through and kind of it was really thought-provoking. I was a little surprised even at the questions.
Yeah, I am stealing them so that we can use them for other material.
Good.
So, because a lot of those questions we had to basically rushed through because, as I've said before, we don't know how to. We talk way too much. So, okay. Episode 7. I'd like to introduce all of our fans and all of our friends to veteran nurse Lisa Ford. She is currently a postpartum RN and a mother of 2, mother to a almost 2-year-old toddler. Mm-hmm. She is a self-quoted moto chick. She's an atheist. and she is a newly minted RN to MSN student. Lisa,
Yay!
Welcome to the
show. Thank you.
Thank you so much for joining us and accepting our invitation.
Well, thank you for having me. I appreciate it.
So one of the things, I'm going to jump in here, Sean.
Go for it.
One of the things Sean brought up. Okay, so I'm going to pull up your Twitter page. 118,000 updates.
That I like Twitter.
Impressive.
Yes. 108, and I as a way of researching this show, I started going through some of the let's call them seasoned Twitter users.
Yes.
Like myself and like Mike Sevilla and people like that I know that have been on Twitter for a while, and you blow them away.
Well, let's see. I've been on Twitter since 2009.
Mm-hmm.
So I don't know. I tweet a lot.
Well, and your stuff is funny too. So some people are like, "This is what I ate for breakfast."
Yeah, no.
And this is really, even your photos are great.
Yeah, so I try to keep it. Well, I mean, it's real time for what is going on with me at the moment, but my focus has kind of changed a little in that I'm trying to share a lot more, relevant articles, things and breastfeeding is a huge, I'm a big advocate of that. So I try to share a lot of articles and journals and just, tips, tricks, things that other people might, have an interest in. So I tend to tweet a lot of that lately, I would say. And especially just having had a baby a year and a half ago, my focus has changed a bit. So yeah, I have a lot of pictures of my darling daughter.
And she is gorgeous.
Thank you.
I absolutely love the necklace. I don't know why I'm fixated on the necklace.
She's worn them since she was about 6 months old, and
I know
never come off. So
we've been, friends on Twitter for how many years, and I see the pictures off and on, and she's always had that necklace on, which I think just draws my attention. I don't know why, it just does.
Yeah.
So why don't we go ahead and parlay right into you give us the short version of who you are.
Well, let's see. My name is Lisa. As you said, I am a postpartum RN in a large magnet facility here in the greater St. Louis area. I recently just moved from the Bay Area of California. Prior to that, I was in California. I worked in the Kaiser system for about 5 years. Some of it was at the bedside in a telemetry unit. And then I spent the most immediate 2 years prior to moving here in a management position. So I was an assistant nurse manager for 2 years. A pretty big chunk of that, though, I was out on maternity leave. So, and then decided to come back to the bedside. So, yes, and that was a needed transition. We can certainly delve into the topic of management versus bedside. I'm happy to discuss.
You definitely, I know that we'll get into it in a little bit here, but on your blog, I know that you've commented on how, am I overstepping what I'm saying? I think you regretted going into management so early in your career.
Yeah, I did. I think I went into it thinking, I was approached by my manager to come into the role, and I was extremely flattered. I thought, wow, what a great opportunity, and I don't want to pass it up. But it was a lot of, I was very idealistic, and I wasn't realistic enough with myself. And I don't think I had enough experience under my belt. And it was a very unenviable position to be in. You are completely in the middle. You've got upper management on one side, you've got frontline staff on the other, and you are right in the middle. And it's very challenging.
Yeah.
Well, I think we could definitely do an entire probably 3 hours about that. I have very strong opinions about the lack of leadership training in nursing. I think as a general rule, we continuously promote from within, and it's usually somebody from within to the management position in their own department. and that causes a lot of its own challenges.
And that's exactly what happened to me. I was now supervising the very same people that I worked at the bedside with.
That
happens quite a bit.
So difficult to do.
Oh, it was so difficult, and no continuity, no consistency, no accountability.
So now we're going to go off topic already. When you got promoted to this position, did you get any sort of training?
No.
It was just, congratulations, you're now the boss.
It was very piecemeal.
Yeah.
Wow.
It was just kind of, a little bit here, a little bit there. It was nothing. I even brought up to upper management, hey, what about a manual? Wouldn't it be nice to have like an orientation manual that we could refer to, and things would be written down, matrix grids that we need for staffing, things that are easily put down in writing.
Which doesn't help anybody. It hinders the process more than anything else.
Right. So then, I remember my first shift on my own trying to deal with staffing, and then I worked weekends only. So I was the only manager there all night long, and I had to staff the entire hospital. So now granted, the entire hospital was maybe 85 beds, but
it's still
how many staff members is that? That's insane.
It was a lot, and then you have call-ins and people, then you've got and now remember, I was in California where there's state mandated ratios.
Right.
So we have guidelines that we have to meet, and call-ins were extremely difficult for us, especially being a small facility. So yeah, it was. I remember thinking I probably looked like a deer in the headlights my very first shift. I wanted to hug everybody. I was like, please, just somebody help me.
Yeah. Oh yeah.
It was terrifying.
That's great.
So many times, one of the things with leadership that a lot of people don't realize is it's like being a parent.
Right.
I mean, it's completely thankless.
It's
thankless.
Thankless.
You lose sleep. It's
you're always the one to blame.
Yeah. Oh, always.
If you don't have the answer, you didn't do your job.
Right.
And then, I was a manager for a very short amount of time, and I say very, very short amount of time.
Right. It's a unique challenge, and and then added into that was management. Being in a union environment was even more of a challenge. So
deep into the pool, sister.
Yeah, talk about setting you up for failure there. Jeez.
So,
all right.
Yeah. Anyway.
So how long have you been a nurse?
7 years.
Okay. So why nursing?
Oh boy. Well, let's see. Back prior, and I've had many different careers. A lot of admin assistant type work. Worked in a facility at Dartmouth Hitchcock Medical Center. Was a tertiary care facility up in Hanover, New Hampshire, and was working in a clinic. And that was kind of my first inkling that I thought, I kind of like this. I like the idea of nursing. Then a move back to Michigan, and woohoo! And I worked in a support capacity, ancillary staff in a labor and delivery unit. And that was my first exposure to like women's health and, L&D and postpartum. So that was 7 years worth. And it was at that point I decided I'm definitely going to go to nursing school. So went to nursing school, got my ADN, was a very proud ADN grad. Went right to work in that hospital on a telemetry floor. So stayed there. I was on that unit for a year, but as a result, this was in 2009, the collapse of General Motors occurred.
Yeah.
And the big three and all of that was imploding. And so it affected our patient census. The executives and the other employees of General Motors weren't seeking out those elective surgeries like they used to. So it affected, or procedures, and it affected our census numbers. And in another union facility, as a result, I was the low man on the totem pole. So my shifts were being canceled very, very often. So my full-time job went to something like 16 hours a week.
Ooh, ouch.
Right. And it was just becoming increasingly difficult.
You're expected to make a living on that.
Exactly. Yeah. And I remember thinking, I'm kind of angry. I'm a nurse. I just got out of nursing school. I want to be a nurse. I want to work.
Well, and we were generally led to believe that you get through school, you're going to have a job.
Exactly.
You know, and
isn't there a nursing shortage?
Yeah.
Right.
Well, and in Michigan, you know, I lived through that same, you know, the recession hit Michigan really hard. And what people don't realize is that even though we're in healthcare, it does affect us, and it affects us in weird ways too.
Right. Totally. And that was a big problem. So it was at that point I decided, okay, I've got to get creative. What can I do? So I decided to pursue travel nursing. And the original intent was to go out, do an assignment for 13 weeks, come back. Well, I went out, and nursing in California is quite lucrative. Mm-hmm. So stayed. Yep. And then just decided at that point I was offered a permanent staff position, and it was the best decision I could make. So I stayed, and then that's how I ended up in California for 5 years. Now I've come back to the Midwest.
Yeah, I remember.
It's difficult. A lot of people don't realize too that how much the coasts are very different. I went through kind of a similar thing moving from Philly to Michigan. I went from being an RN at the bedside to being a nurse practitioner and took a $10 an hour pay cut.
Yeah.
And then they say, well, the cost of living is different. No, not that different.
Yeah, I'm kind of struggling with that right now in a major way, like big. I took a pretty substantial pay cut to not only go back to the bedside, but moving from California. Yeah, I get a little weepy when I get my pay cut.
I don't blame you.
But, then again, I work 2 nights a week. I don't work full time, and I'm very fortunate that I'm not in a position where I have to. So, I have to take it all in context. So.
Oh, I think it's a great segue into the blog that you write, is that I think you actually commented on one of your blogs about your pay, and that you had some sage advice from a certain individual in regards to your job and overall outlook of, I may have shitty pay, but.
Yes, that would be my husband. Mm-hmm. He said, let's look at it this way. You're now at the bedside doing something that you absolutely love. And, I know it sounds trite to say you can't put an amount on that, but it is really true. I mean, I go to work and I come home and I feel like, wow, this is exactly what I was meant to do in nursing. And I have never felt that way in my short 7 years. It certainly wasn't that way in management. And it wasn't really that way in telemetry. I liked cardiac, but I think it's a part of bringing my personal experience to the bedside. Mm-hmm. I just had a baby, so I totally relate with these women who are brand new moms, and they're exhausted, and they're trying to breastfeed, and they have so many questions. And I feel like it's not even really nursing. I'm just going to work. I'm getting paid to share my knowledge and to help these new moms. So it's perfect. And that's whenever he tells me that, I think, you know what, you're right. And going to school, he said, think about it this way. Long term, this is going to benefit you. So
yeah,
I don't regret that decision ever.
Right.
I don't either.
While it was happening, it was, miserable. Just flat out miserable.
Sean, I remember all those tweets and all those emails and all those conversations.
I'm pretty sure Lisa, you could probably remember some of the posts I would make about
the countdown.
How miserable. My countdown was very obnoxious. It was obnoxious.
I remember, yeah.
Every single day I would post a new picture of the numbers left before I graduate, or to the end of the semester, or the last test I had to take. So but your life is consumed by it. So
right.
But I think going
living
back,
proof that there's a light at the end of the tunnel.
Yeah, right. I think going back though, I don't know if you guys feel this way. I was a little bit different because I went straight from my ADN to a MSN Bridge program. Mm-hmm. But I think for the most part, going back, it's you've done something, like you found your calling, so to speak,
right.
And you're gaining that extra knowledge base. So to me, it's more of it's very, very painful and miserable, and you just got to get through it. But there's also that little extra incentive and motivation behind it as well.
Right. Well, I agree.
I think we can all agree that, you needed to trip a couple of times before you figure out what it is you're supposed to be doing in this profession.
Right.
You know, like I changed the topic for those who are listening or watching. I changed the topic to, once again, that I truly believe this is one of the greatest professions, because we have the same problems that every other profession has. Pay rates are not the greatest. Staffing is not the greatest. We could go on and on about the list of things that are not good about the profession. But honestly, how many things have you gotten to do and see in your profession, and you weren't required to go back to school?
Right.
You know, you traveled across the United States. You worked in numerous different settings.
Mm-hmm.
You worked in different positions, and you've been able to, you know, take a leave of absence to have a second child.
Right.
You're able to work 2 nights a week. You're able to manage everything you can manage with the way that our profession is. And I'm not saying that we're any more unique than any other kind of shift work, but to be able to experience all that without them saying you need to go back and get another degree or another certification.
Right.
I think that is the key to why our profession is so great.
Mm-hmm. Yeah,
You know,
I agree.
So
go ahead, Am. You're going to say something?
I am. I'm actually reading through show notes, and I have a question for you. I just got into a mild debate. Usually I don't. I try to stay away from politics and religion on social media. But I really admire the fact that you're willing to say that, you know, Sean wrote Random Musings from a Mom and a Skeptical Nurse. And I think that stepping out and, you know, coming from a military girl who, you know, there are no atheists in foxholes, which is a bunch of bullshit. But you know, I have you found that you are able to connect with more people that way? Have you found that it's been a little bit of a clash, or
no,
because
not,
you're so open about it?
Not really a clash. I get a lot of different reactions. Sometimes I get reactions from friends who, I've even had people say, "Oh, I can't believe that. You're an atheist." And I think, yeah, there's still that stigma. Like, it's a bad word. It's a word that you should whisper. You should never say it out loud. And I say, you know, I just believe in one fewer God than you. And it's okay. It doesn't change my morality. It doesn't change, you know, I still would hold the same beliefs and tenets as far as how to conduct my daily life. I just don't, I don't believe in a higher power. So,
I think that's why I was drawn to Lisa from the start, is that she genuinely doesn't give a shit about what other people think about her.
Well, and
she stands, in the how many years she's been on Twitter, her message has not changed in any way. Her life has changed.
Yeah.
In what direction it went, being a travel nurse, married, having another child, you know, that changed.
Yes.
That completely changed. But the fact that her views upon which she guides her life has never changed.
No.
And I've always admired and respected that, is that she is not influenced by what the popular opinion is.
Yeah, no.
Do you think your beliefs make you more available to your patients in a and I need to preface this a little bit. I had an episode in my ADN program. I did my associate's degree in Kentucky, of all places, and was basically told by an instructor that you're not mentally or you're not spiritually healthy unless you're a hetero. You're not sexually and spiritually healthy unless you're a straight, white, Christian male, is what it boiled down to. It was very disturbing because I had moved from California, Michigan to California to there. And you know, I'm pretty open about my beliefs, but I was flabbergasted. And I think I found from before, when I was brought up as a Christian in the church, and now as an atheist, that I tend to be even more open. And I know that's probably left field and such a strange comment to make, but
yeah.
We have to be so culturally sensitive to so many different people. And I guess I feel less judgmental. And I've always wanted to ask somebody else who is a nurse and an atheist if they had run into that kind of aha moment at any time in their practice.
Yeah, I get this question. I get this question a lot. So what if your patients want you to pray with them? I say, well, I have had that question. I will be more than happy to go in the room. I'm going to be present for you. I think that's more what they want. I don't know that they want me to actively pray with them. I think they just want my presence. So I don't have a problem with that. But I don't know. I feel like, yes, like what you said, Emily, was how we have to be very cognizant of other people's beliefs, and we have to be, I don't know, what's the word? Appreciative or empathetic to that. But I sometimes don't feel like we get that in return.
I think
no, we don't.
Just, recognizing that you yourself and what you believe in require just as much attention and respect as someone who picks a different religion.
Correct. Right.
And I'm like Emily. I avoid these topics like a nuclear bomb.
Right.
Because I am not an atheist, but I am not religious either. And my wife knows that. She's known that since she's ever met me, is that I believe in something. I just don't have a name for that something. So
right.
It's just, I don't like labels.
Right.
The labels bother me. Is that because you can have some of the most religious people who are horrible human beings and vice versa.
Yeah, totally.
So I really believe that if you are altruistic and you are genuine and you treat another human being with the same amount of respect and dignity that you would treat your own family or yourself, you're okay in my book. I don't really care what you look like, what you practice, what you say. Yeah, I don't really care.
I agree. So that's what I think.
I'm still waiting to see that purple person with green polka dots. Well, and I know that was a difficult question, and thank you. It was
no, not at all.
Really it's always kind of ticked in the back of my mind, and I've never had a chance to ask anybody else that question before.
Yeah, so. No, it's
so we covered that you have a blog, and ironically, it's called Godless Nurse, which is very fitting. And you blog about you, and you can be anything at this point. Because I remember you blogging about running at one point. You've blogged about your religious views. You've blogged about the challenges that managers have as in our profession. And you've changed gears now. And I don't know if it's a change in gears. I'm sorry if I'm misspeaking, but you spend a lot of time focusing on your current job, which is postpartum, and the fact that you are a big supporter of public breastfeeding.
Yes.
Tell me about that.
Go. I am very passionate about what, you probably have seen the hashtag, but normalize breastfeeding. And I'm very vocal about my support of people that moms and babies have a right to feed their babies whenever, wherever, however they want. I get angry when I think about someone. I have never been approached, thankfully, and been told to feed my baby elsewhere. But I cannot imagine what that would be like if someone were out just feeding their baby, doing what, honestly, these were meant to do. And they were being told, go to the bathroom or go to a back room or leave. I can't tolerate that. It just makes no sense. And I'm wondering, are we just in a period of time where, it waxes and wanes? I wonder if it's generational, because you think about, 50 years ago, was breastfeeding in vogue? Was it more popular? Was it not? When did, with the advent of formula, was there less of a push for that? It makes me wonder, are we just kind of riding the crest of when it's going to change? But it really bothers me that people have to defend the basic function and purpose of breasts, and they have babies. I'm very passionate about that.
Yeah.
I've had my sister and my best friend, who happens to also live next door to me, both had babies within the last year. And we've had some discussions with this. And one of my questions for you, and one of the things Sean and I have talked about, is here we have these things that we're really passionate about. What can we, as people who don't know as much, I hand it to every nurse that takes care of handles postpartum. I am not a baby nurse. I can hold them, feed them, play with them, but boy, what can I do having a social media voice to help promote public breastfeeding? What are there Twitter hashtags that we can use? Are there organizations we should start paying attention to? How can we support that as well?
I would say absolutely follow the hashtag normalize breastfeeding. That's a big one. I have it as a separate column and I check in with it daily. And if just in a simple way, if you're out and about and you happen to see a mom breastfeeding, it's okay to smile. It's okay to.
Can I get my high five?
Sure. Fist bump. It's okay to acknowledge.
I will admit as a man that would make me uncomfortable, but
sure.
I would not have an intention of making her feel uncomfortable.
Correct. And I think
I would be like,
right. And speaking of being uncomfortable, I'm glad you said that word, because I see a lot of debate on Twitter and a lot of back and forth from people that I follow that are as passionate as I am. And a lot of people just get really bent out of shape. They're like, oh, I saw a woman breastfeeding on the bus, or I saw a woman breastfeeding in the restaurant. And I think just look away. That's all you have to do. If you don't like it, just turn your head. It's so simple, and it's free. It's easy. Doesn't cost a thing. And it doesn't.
Gosh. And it's so much better for the babies.
Yeah, just turn your head. It's just no big deal.
Doesn't cost a thing.
No, sure doesn't. So
I don't walking.
Just keep on going. And that's what I always tell people. If you don't like it, don't look. I am certainly not feeding my baby because I want to invite attention. That is not my goal. Trust me. I'm too involved in trying to get my baby to latch on and trying to make her quiet and just, I can't pay attention to and you shouldn't either.
And I don't have any children, but I would much rather see a mom tending to their child in the most appropriate manner, which is feeding them, instead of letting that child scream bloody murder, causing more of a scene.
Right.
I mean, and that's just, that's just common sense, but
right.
I mean, just because I'm uncomfortable with it doesn't mean I'm supposed to make a scene for you.
Correct. So, I mean, I hope that someday we view public breastfeeding the same as we view public bottle feeding. I don't think there should be any difference. Feeding a baby is feeding a baby, and it should really just be that simple.
All right. And once again, we veered off topic. It happens.
And I'm going to give you lots of more hand claps. Well, and I think that's the beauty of nursing too, is that when all of us have a voice here, we can figure out those things that are so very specific to what we are experts at. And figure out a way. And I think we have a responsibility to use our voices and promote those things. So, knowing what, geez, oh Pete, just how much formula costs, there are so many benefits to it. And, heaven forbid we get into the evidence-based pieces of it. So
I am predicting that Lisa is going to do something with her senior project that has to do with that.
Yeah, probably.
Yeah.
So
is Capella calling it a capstone project? Do they have capstone projects?
Yeah, I think they call it a capstone project. Yeah.
So capstone project has to be something evidence-based, and I think
right. Oh, I'm sure
you'll find all kinds of stuff on that.
Do something with that and social media combined.
Oh, yeah. We're gonna have to bring you back just for an entire episode of that. So
what is your what is the exact degree you're going for? What is your specialty? Are you doing midwifery?
No, I'm actually doing an MSN. It's in informatics. I switched gears.
Yeah, Emily's ears just perked up.
I thought I saw the informatics, and I wanted to.
Yeah. So
I have this deep love affair with IT. I love the. I know. So you get the people still like to paper chart and they don't like EMRs and they're a pain and I don't like the computer goes down. But you know what? There is a beautiful marriage between EMRs and nursing, and the bottom line is this. It's 2015. We're only going to go forward, and we have to embrace technology.
Absolutely.
We have to. So I firmly believe that nurses are going to be called on to be more and more involved in EMRs. And that's
they
where
already are. So
yeah.
in the short time that I've been in this profession, they already are. The person who is in charge of implementation of all of the electronic pieces or the new implementation features of our current EMR is a nurse.
Right.
It's a nurse. She's in charge of it all. So, and she does a wonderful job. So it's, it's out there.
And I think part of it too is I envision when I'm finished with my degree, I would prefer it. My ideal position would be to go back, probably in a hospital setting, and be that liaison between the bedside and the EMR, and make it so it's not so frightening. It's not so scary. We have shortcuts. We have ways to do things. It won't take you 5 hours to chart all of your assessments on your patients. And, I don't want there to be that big, scary feeling. Oh no, a computer system. I want to be that person that leads the way and says, okay.
Well,
it's okay.
I do have to admit, because Emily typed it in over here on the Twitter feed, is that one of my most memorable nurse mentors was an informatics professor.
Oh.
Yeah. I actually did my senior project that I had to do as a nurse practitioner student when I was finishing my last semester in my master's program. I actually helped teach informatics with my old bachelor's mentor.
Oh, wow.
That's cool.
So,
I didn't know that, Sean. That's awesome.
Yeah.
Great.
It was evidence-based practice is what I taught. I helped teach it. So don't ask me about it now. I was years ago. It was one of those things, if you don't use it, you lose it thing. So I said that to you. I was like, you need to learn it A through Z now so that you don't struggle later. Do not skip over anything in regards to research and evidence-based practice. And when you do statistics, know it. Like, be comfortable with it, because it's going to be the bane of your existence for a while. So if you're comfortable with it, it won't be as arduous. So,
right. Yeah. But
So do you see yourself as in more of the educator role, or in more of a consultant type role between the software engineers and the clinical side of the house?
No, I probably would. Teaching has always been where it's at for me. So I kind of, that's why I was really torn. My original major was nurse educator. But when I thought about it, I thought, you know what, I can still be an educator, but I really, really want that informatics side. So I would ultimately love to be an educator in a facility teaching all about the EMR.
That's awesome.
Yeah.
That is awesome.
So while we're talking about going back to school, Lisa's already admitted that she was an ADN nurse when she entered the profession.
Sean has been dying to get to this part.
I still am.
I mean, I hate to say it, but this was the reason why I reached out to you in the first place, is that when I discovered that you were going back to school, it was literally a slap in the face. I was like,
did your chin fall? Did your chin drop?
It was like, what? Oh my God.
Oh my God.
Again.
Brain was just, So here's the backstory is that all three of us started without a bachelor's.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. I think, Emily, you had an associate's?
I did.
Yeah. So yours was an associate's. Mine was a diploma. Lisa's was an ADN.
Mm-hmm.
When we were first on Twitter, let's just say in the first 2 to 3 years, probably, because when I went back to school for my bachelor's in nursing, it was around 2010, 2011.
Mm-hmm.
And I remember having a handful of conversations with you on Twitter, how you passionately disagreed with needing to advance your education, that an ADN was enough.
Yes.
And fast forward now 5+ years.
Right.
Something changed.
Yes.
So, do tell.
Well, I still have conversations, and I still think it's a very interesting topic. I've seen it brought up on just recently, I think I was looking at another Facebook page about, and that debate came up, ADN versus BSN or ADN versus any advanced degree. And a lot of the argument, what the classic argument is, when I went to school and I was an ADN prepared nurse, at the time, all the local employers, that's what they wanted. They wanted bedside nurses ready to go, ready to hit the floor, hit the ground running. And so we all felt that anything beyond that, we were just learning how to write a good paper. Now, I'm not saying I subscribe to that belief. I'm just saying that was the overwhelming opinion, that anything beyond an ADN, you're learning about how to write a paper, how to research a topic. Not saying it isn't valuable, but at the time, employers were thinking, we just need you to put a Foley in. We need you to start IVs, and we need you to ambulate patients, and we need you to interpret strips. We don't need you to write us a paper. So I think that was where my perspective was at the time. And I thought, heck, it was as anyone knows who goes to nursing school, it is the most intense program ever. I mean, I think my ADN program was by far much more intense than my bachelor's degree. My bachelor's degree was nothing compared to this. So I thought, really? You're telling me that my 2-year degree isn't as valuable as maybe a 4-year? And that's why I was so passionate about that. I thought, no way, I can counter that. I feel like my coursework was on par with a 4-year degree. Mm-hmm. So, but fast forward, what has changed? So I think a lot of that was coming from a place where I don't think in my nursing practice on the floor at the bedside, I was particularly happy in my niche. So I think that I was just kind of doing the minimum to have my job at the bedside, and I didn't see any benefit to doing anything further. I thought, nope, this is exactly where I want to stay. I don't want to do anything more with it. So that's kind of, I think, a reflection of maybe not being as happy as I could have been in the position that I was in. Then when it came to management, I thought, oh no, now I'm really not happy. So, but then, like I had explained before, with the advent of taking this job, and I again explained to the sage person known as my husband, I said, if I'm going to return to the bedside, I have to love what I do. And I know that sounds so silly, and oh yeah, of course you have to love what you do. No. If I'm going to continue to have a nursing license and go to work every day and say I'm a nurse, I have to love what I do. I have to. So that's where I said, I'm going to wait until I find what I feel is the perfect job for me. And that's when I said, I want to go be a postpartum nurse. So then at that point, of course, remember, I'm at a magnet facility. I was, we were in a discussion with management and during my interview process, and they even asked me, what are your plans for continuing your education? Because of course, as a magnet facility, they want BSN and higher educated nurses. So it kind of just lit a spark that I knew was maybe there for a little while. I was kind of biding my time and not really sure. And I was just afraid to go back. I think like what you were saying earlier, Sean, how you're like, oh no, it's just going to consume my life. And I don't know that I want that. I'm just enjoying the time with my baby and my son. But I had to really face the fact that nursing is evolving, and the profession is changing. And we are not just, we're not a task-oriented profession. We're being called upon to increasingly critical.
Internet high five.
High five. We need to critically think, and people are coming in sicker. They're coming in with more comorbidities. They're coming in with more medication interactions. They're coming in with, a whole variety of things that we need to, as nurses, know about. And ironically, I was researching an article for my degree, and they said that nursing is one of the only healthcare professions where a 2-year degree is, you can still do that. Mm-hmm. You can't do that in any other healthcare profession. Of course, doctor, PA, NP, anything, RT, there is no 2-year degree. And I thought, wow, that's pretty powerful. And I know just like in Canada, they do require a 4-year degree. Mm-hmm. So
you know, at night, you kind of make that transition that 2-year option, and this is probably going to piss a lot of people off. It weakens the profession.
Right.
And it really does, because if we're gonna ask to be respected in the same manner that other professions are being respected, then we need to earn that right. And just getting a 2-year degree or a 2-year ADN and getting boots on the ground is not enough anymore. Right. You know, Emily and I have talked about it many a times. We've mentioned the iOS state, Institute of Medicine statement back in 2010 that talked about nurses need to be as highly educated as possible. They need to exhibit the highest standards as possible. And Emily has a passion for the fact that the more educated the nurse is, the more highly skilled the nurse is, better patient outcomes.
Right.
Period.
Oh, well, and that's, I believe it was nurse researcher Linda Aiken who came out with that. Wasn't that front page of JAMA?
Yeah, it was not. Yes, that
was 2003, 2004.
Right.
So,
I mean, it's documented that, we affect patient outcomes based on our, level of expertise and education. And I think it's not even so much, I think we lose sight of the fact that we're not all bedside nurses. People want to do and explore other aspects of nursing, and sometimes an ADN just won't get you to that point. And we need to think beyond hospital nursing. The face of healthcare is changing. We're doing so much more outpatient now, clinic settings. It's not at the bedside, and we need to, and plus we owe it to future nurses to be in a position where we can help educate them and help to be mentors. And, that without advanced degrees, we can't do that. And we're lacking in faculty as it is.
Well, I had a chief nursing officer tell me recently that she really sees the future of nursing as far as inpatient is concerned is, hospitals changing such that it's going to be, this is all outpatient and here's your inpatient.
Correct.
And we're just going to find ways to send more and more people straight home from things. So, I do have a lot of theories and beliefs on the higher education, the better. And I think part of it is because I did go through that entire process, and I know the difference between how I thought as a nurse. And that's what it is. And I remember partway through my master's program going, oh, I'm not going to get out of school and know everything. I thought I was going to get out of school and have this huge skill set and this huge education set. And what I realized is they were teaching me how to learn and how to teach myself.
Right.
And I think that it takes a while in your educational career to get to that point and reach that kind of aha moment. So
yeah, I agree. I just feel like it's more the fact that we're in a position right now where there are nursing students or applicants being turned away from schools because we simply don't have enough faculty. And the bottom line is,
we have a friend of ours who I talked about pre-show, who's spit out 3 blog posts already. Pammy, she's actually experiencing that right now. Yeah. That she's been trying for quite some time to get into an RN program. She's currently an LPN, and she keeps getting turned down because there's not enough space.
Right. So, and they have to limit numbers because they simply don't have enough teachers.
Yeah. Well, I think so that's probably the reason why the 2-year ADN associate's degree in nursing is not going to go away permanently, is that it still churns out nurses faster than it would if you did the bachelor route.
Right.
And I hate to say it, that still has a place right now because there's still a need for the bedside nurse with the 2-year ADN degree.
Sure.
And while, working in a magnet hospital or working in a higher level of care, you should have that education because that's where you go to get a higher level of care, higher level of care, higher level education. Mm-hmm. Not that the ADN, the 2-year program and the smaller hospitals are, suboptimal. It's just they're only providing what they can.
Right.
But I think the 2-year degree weakens our profession, but it's never going to go away completely because we do, as a whole, still have a nursing shortage. So
Right.
I don't think it's going to go away because it's a solution. It's a temporary solution to a long-term problem.
Yeah.
When I started this profession a decade ago, there was a nursing shortage. It hasn't changed. In fact, it's predicted to get worse. So.
Right. And people have brought up too that as, I don't even know that there's a misnomer about differences in pay between ADN and BSN. And I've never worked in a facility where that's been a huge factor. So, I don't know. I don't know how that's going to play out. I wonder if they'll ever decide we just need to go right to the 4-year degree. What I hope I see someday is that community colleges partner with 4-year universities and we find a way to fast track
they already are.
Anyone who's in an ADN program and say, okay, we're going to partner with whatever 4-year program is nearby, logistically, geographically, or online, and say, okay, with another 2 semesters, you'll earn your BSN.
Yeah.
Just keep going. Just keep going. I dare say that in my small class, my ADN class of 80, I bet we all would have just kept going.
Mm-hmm.
Why not?
My ADN program doesn't exist anymore. It was converted into a 4-year program because it began by partnering with the local college, and then it eventually it liquidated everything and it became a baccalaureate degree.
Right.
So,
I think that for the needs, and if we're in a part of the country where we have needs for educators, I think that should be the first thing we look at. Absolutely. 4-year universities should partner with 2-year programs and say, let's solve this problem. We need to turn out more quality nurses. We've got people waiting to get in school. So let's fix this. Yeah. And I think that would be a great way to fix it.
So in typical Change of Shift podcast fashion, we have gone way off topic and we've gone almost over time, like always, because we absolutely love having these conversations. So I don't regret the veering in any way. So we're going to close with some fun questions for you, Lisa, that we throw at all of our guests that are completely off topic, sort of on topic.
Okay.
Before you do that, what exactly is a moto check?
Well, before I had my daughter, I learned how to ride a motorcycle. That was due in large part to my husband. He is an avid motorcycle rider. He rides.
Who is currently in the Twitter feed right now.
Yes, he is. And he rides track.
Nice.
Sport bike. So I learned how to ride. Didn't get real far, but I really enjoyed it. And then, of course, got pregnant, had a baby. Don't really fit in the riding gear anymore. So
Lisa, I don't know if Emily wants to tell you about her experiences on a motorcycle.
Oh yeah. I had 2 at one point.
You had 2?
I had 2.
Yeah. She used to ride on the regular.
Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah.
Awesome.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. That's why I knew she was going to love you as a guest.
Yeah. As soon as I saw that, I was like, and if you've never been, and I'm sure you probably have, being out on the West Coast, MotoGP is just amazing.
Oh yes, we've gone twice. We went to Laguna Seca.
Yeah, I wanted to go because it's not there anymore, is it?
Yeah.
Well, it's there, but they don't. Yeah, MotoGP isn't there anymore. Yeah.
I did on the second year. Sorry, Sean, way off topic.
No,
second
go
year
ahead.
they did MotoGP at Indy. They did a special program for veterans and allowed us to take our bikes out on the track.
Oh wow!
So,
awesome.
Yeah,
cool. we did a parade lap at Laguna Seca twice.
Nice.
Yeah, and it was the corkscrew, unreal.
Oh God, I bet.
Yeah. The hubby gives the stamp of approval.
Yeah,
there.
he does.
So what's really interesting is that when Emily and I first met way back in the early days of blogging, that was one of the things that caught my attention, is that she was a nurse practitioner, a flight nurse, but she also rode a motorcycle on the regular, which is not common in the nursing world. So
Right.
that was one of the things that brought, garnered so much attention back then. So the infamous crazy girl. So
gotcha.
Yeah.
All right.
And Sean's going skydiving with me next year.
I have to. I really do. I really have to.
Oh, it's a bucket list item.
It is.
Perfect.
Yes,
next time you are in Michigan, my husband co-owns a drop zone.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
It's a tandem instructor. So your husband should come out and jump.
I'll have to keep that in mind.
Yeah.
So I have no excuse. I really have no excuse other than getting off my rear end and driving out there. So
there you go.
All right.
See,
so
our prize in skydiving next year, you guys. All right.
Yeah.
Let's hit your question, Sean.
We got to get to the end of the show, and then we can keep talking. Okay. Focused. You're the one that tells me to stay focused. So anyway, all right. These are shotgun rapid fire. You get 5 seconds to answer questions.
Oh boy. Okay. All right. Ready, go.
5 of them. First one. What's your favorite color?
Purple.
Favorite movie?
Oh, favorite
3,
movie?
2.
Kill Bill.
Oh, nice.
That's the second Quentin Tarantino.
Yeah.
I can't decide between 1 and 2, so.
Yeah.
Oh no.
Whichever's on.
Yeah.
Nice.
All right. Favorite food?
McDonald's French fries.
Oh, with hot mustard. With hot mustard.
Yeah.
Okay. Last 2 questions are profession oriented. Clogs or traditional shoes?
Clogs all the way.
Really?
Amen.
Yes.
And last piece, what is your most favorite piece of nursing equipment?
My nurse stethoscope.
Ah!
And that was totally unprompted, yes. But
internet high five there. I'm telling you.
That is my favorite piece of nursing equipment. Yes.
That was on the list to talk about. We'll have to save that for the post show, maybe.
Right. A close second would be my trusty, faithful Carpajet, which no one uses anymore, but I still keep it in my pocket because it's comforting.
Yeah. So, Lisa, thank you for joining us.
Thank you for having me.
I know I had a
thank
blast. So, and I know Emily had a blast. Truly enjoy the fact that you are turning into an amazing nurse.
Thank you.
You have walked the gamut, and I think it's awesome that you can share that experience with the new nurses out there when they talk about, the beginnings of their profession and how they grow. You can explain to them that, it isn't like this all the time. Give it time to experience the profession. You're going to find your niche. You just have to spend the time to do it.
Right. And I can definitely relate even more so because I just had some very nervous jitters with this position and I just transitioned out of orientation and it's on my blog. I was extremely nervous. So, you could be a nurse for 5 years, 10 years, 15. When you change your focus, it's like you're brand new all over again. So
back to being a novice.
That's right. That's right. Everyone was new and everyone is new again. So
absolutely.
Yeah.
Well, as always, we like to end the show by thanking our fans and everyone that has decided to grace us with their presence there on the Twitter feed. For those of you who will be watching this video post-edit or listening to it eventually when we get it into audio form, we've had quite the interaction during this past episode. If you feel the need, desire, want, or hope, will come find us out on our website, which is thechangeofshift.com. It is an evolving website right now. We're still working the kinks out. It will be the hub for all things nursing eventually. But for now, it's a simple blog with some podcast episodes being slapped in there every once in a while. If you're on Facebook, you can find us on Facebook at The Change of Shift, or just The Change of Shift, sorry. And of course, you're out on the Twitterverse, Twitter sphere. What are we calling it these days? We're out on Twitter. The username Ask the COS, which is short for The Change of Shift. We're out on Google, if anyone's still out there on Google+. I I will leave that link as well in the Twitter feed. Em, do you have any last minute words?
Thank you. That was awesome.
And
thank you.
As
Everybody,
always,
remember,
check
check
your own pulse.